Hello everyone, welcome to chapter 133 on my RLDR Custom Creations YouTube channel. Today in this chapter, I'm going to put in my new balusters in my railing in the house. So if you want to see how that's done or how I'm going to do it, you know what to do. All you have to do is stay tuned. Well, for those of you who've been watching my regular postings, you're probably wondering why in the world would I tear out perfectly good railing and balusters and replace them? Well, for me, it's all about tying the house together. So on our downstairs stairwell, I built all those components for the railing, turned the newel posts, made the handrail, the sole plate, made it all. And we went with the metal balusters. Now, these are maybe a bit more complex than we would have chosen if we would have picked them now. But I want our house to be unified on the inside. My goal is by the time I'm done, somebody should be able to come into our house and say, oh, I didn't realize you built this whole house way back in the 80s. Like, they shouldn't be able to tell where the new and the old come together. And that's my goal. So the railing is one of those places. So I took out the old railing. Another reason that I'm doing it the way I'm doing it is the one thing I did learn in my years in construction is how to install a handrail really solidly. And I am just not interested in pulling the newel post and the handrail out. That doesn't work for me. The sole plate, that actually just screws onto the floor. That's no problem. So, and I wanted to put a thicker one here anyway. So this is going to be replaced by, this 3/4 inch thick one is going to be replaced by an 1.5 inch thick one. And so what I'm going to do in the video today is make that sole plate and then lay out everything, attach these, I think probably to the bottom, and then I can figure out where to cut this off, and then I want to make a molding that attaches them to the bottom, sorry, of the top handrail. So anyway, that's what my plan is for hopefully today and maybe a bit of tomorrow. And that's what we're going to do. So I will bring you along as we start to make this happen. Well, I spared you all the time of me surfacing this to an 1.5 inch thick and 3.5 inches wide. So that's what I did. It is exact. I've double checked everything and compared it to what's there. So now what I did, the first stage was to cut this to the right length. Now, I always try to use a template first. Now, there was one little issue. When I put this railing in 40 years ago, I made an assumption, which I had to look at for the last 40 years, that this was always square because it butted into the newel post square. It doesn't. I think my half newel against the wall, probably when I screwed it tight, turned just a wee bit. And I cut this to the right length already, the first one, and I put it in, and I had this gap that I couldn't do anything with, other than I should have maybe just bought another new piece of oak and went with it, but I didn't think of that. So now I've done that. This one just fits in. That imperfection at the wall side is 1 degree. So I cut this 1 degree off. This is the long point here. This is a short point. And the other end was square. So I've made that. This piece is just a wee bit loose. So I cut this piece just a little bit longer. I don't know how much. Well, maybe a good 1/16 longer. And it doesn't fit in. But that's okay. I'm going to mill everything, do everything, get it all set up, and then when I'm going to put it in for the last time, I'm going to slowly trim until it fits perfect. So anyway, always try to use a template whenever you can. It was a lot of running back and forth into the house. This isn't an efficient process, but I'm sure that if you're doing renovations in your home, often at least you'd be running to the attached garage where your saw is set up. So anyway, I'm in my shop, and yeah, it's a bit of work. So the next thing that we're going to do is I've got my router set up already, and we're going to route the cove. Let's see if I can find the old rail here, or the old sole plate. This is what we're going to route out. It's a wee bit bigger than this one. I don't have that bit, but I think this is going to be just fine given everything's bigger here. So that's the next step. Well, I have my Hitachi router here with a cove bit in it. Let's see if you can see what I'm cutting with here. I hope I got that in frame. Okay, so this is just zipping along the side here. So make sure the cord's out of the way. Okay, let's roll. Well, I had a little bit of chip out here. That's too bad. And that's the side facing, so I'll have to get rid of that. I might just go a wee bit deeper and climb cut that pass. But I'm going to do the other side. Well, you know what? No, I'm not. I'm going to do this right away. I'm going to go a wee bit deeper. And I'm going to go the wrong way. Let's do the other side. Oops. Okay. Maybe try something a little different here, because this is a little deeper cut too. There, I should have done that to the first side. What I did is I ran the router along, but I didn't touch the bit. Or sorry, the bearing never touched. So then when I got to the other end, I routed to the bearing, and then I climbed cut back. And it's awesome. Should have done it on the other side. Oh well, I'll fix. There's one little piece of tear out here. that I can fix, and then we'll keep on going. Well, it's time to put the groove in now. I already did it. Already did it in my pattern, and it fits nicely over the flooring. It's going to be a really nice look. Okay, let's make a cut. There we go. And nice smooth cut. Okay, that's what I wanted. I need to come back and do about 2 inches here yet, because it comes around. So I am going to have to set up, I think, the router to do that though. So I will be back. Well, I did some layout. So what I decided to do is, I'm going to bring you in a little closer for this. Just a couple of points to make while I have you a little further away. It's nice to be able to have your balusters here and kind of roughly line it up so you can see what it's going to look like before you drill holes. Now you notice I've drilled one hole already. Yeah, that was also a bit of a challenge, but I'll explain that when we go to the drill press. So, okay, we're going to bring you in closer and show you what this is all about. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, 0. Okay, well, I got it laid out. I had to decide again how to do it. Now, luckily, I mean, I didn't go to look at it, but I have a section of railing around our basement stairwell that's almost identical to this, so I could have gone and measured that. What I decided to do is I measured from there, basically this gap here, and decided that these should be all the same distance apart. And I believe that was 67.5 millimeters. Yes, millimeters. I much rather do, or I have to divide and do calculations. I use millimeters. It's just so much simpler to me. But anyway, that's what I ended up doing. So figuring it all out as to where this comes out to, where this comes out to here, I basically, with a little bit of math, figured out that I had 143.5, nope, that's not right, is it? Yeah, 143.5 millimeters to the first one. So the first ones at each end are 145. And then I took the space that the railings take and the space that I had, and I subtracted what I needed here from what I had, and divided that by what? 1, 2, I think by 6. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Yes. And that gave me a distance between, and then from there I calculated the distance from here. So these are 220 millimeters apart. So, and I drilled one hole already. This was a bit of a challenge. These things are a very odd size. Oops, sorry, I'm getting not good with this camera. See, these are just over 1.5 inches, but not 1 5/8 inches, and I didn't want them loose. So what I did is I took an old 1 5/8 inches bit, and I took it to the metal lathe, and I machined it to a smaller size. It's not exactly this size, but it looks good when they go in. Here, I'll just do one for you here quickly. It's a little loose yet, but I can live with that. We haven't put finish on it yet either. So, and they're just, put this down, this metal flange is just underneath the surface. It's close. But, so now I need to drill those holes, with my modified bit. So I've got everything set. So I'm going to go and drill 4 holes. Okay, we'll show you that. Well, we're all set up and ready to go. Couldn't find my stand, so I brought my extra tripod in here to hold up the end. So anything in an emergency. Plus, I've got my clamp here. So I'm drilling this just over 1.5-inch hole, and I have my brand new keyless chuck that I'm working with, and it seems to slip a little bit. So we'll see how it goes. Okay, let's keep rolling along here. There we go. Yep, perfect. Getting close to the bottom. There it is. Yeah, this bit is not the sharpest either. So, but in total with the hole railing, I only have 10 holes to drill. So we'll make it work. There we go. Oh, I'm going to tighten that up a bit. It's about as good as I can get it. I should have sharpened the bit a little bit more. Well, I should have sharpened it. I suspect I made it duller by making it smaller diameter. This does not cut in the metal lathe well at all. Like it just, that's not, this is hardened steel. So in the end, and I know it's a bit crude and that's why it's not on this video, I switched the lathe on and took my angle grinder and tried to round it that way. I think I got close. But I did the best I could with what I had. And that's what it's all about. Okay, the last hole. One thing I forgot to mention, actually, wait, I'll get this first, and then I'll tell you. And maybe when we close this section of video off, I'll show you what I forgot to tell you, and it is really quite important. There we go. Okay. All right. They look to be about all the same depth. That's good. This one almost seems a little shallow, but I will come back and check that out, and we'll move on to the next segment. Okay, we're going to go back to the balusters again. There's something I forgot to mention when we first looked at them. Now this here, I'm going to get a pencil here so I can show you this. Okay, this I did wrong on my first railing that I used these things. Notice how these things spin or twist. Now, you should have some type of pattern to that twist. So what I'm doing here is I'm alternating them, because that's what I did in the house. Okay, that's a long story. So this one's up, this one's down, up and down. That is critically important, I think, if you want this railing to look really nice. So, well, we're getting to the point. I have most of the machining done on the sole plate. I am going to drill little holes here so the screws can go in, so I don't have to drill and do that when there's finish on everything. And then a little bit of sanding and the sole plate is done. Then I'll switch over to making the top piece, which is a little different. So we'll be back when we're doing that. Well, I've made a little bit of progress here since I last showed you anything. I pretty much got the bottom part done. So there's a countersunk hole for the screw to attach it to the floor, and then the two screws that attach the bottom of the rail to the sole plate. And I've done that. I'm going to use 3 screws, and I won't have to plug them because they'll be hidden. So with that being done, I have to sand it yet. I'm going to do that sanding and finishing once everything's done. So then I moved on to finish what the top part is. And the top part, it's 1 7/8 inches wide, and it has a 5-degree slope on it both ways. And my plan is, and I've already marked it off here, my plan is to make a square hole the same size, excuse the movement here, as this part here. I'm going to take my cutoff wheel and cut this tab off. And then I want to cut this square hole, make it tight, and then I'll slide all of them. As I'm putting this together in the house, I'll slide each one into its respective hole, tip the railing into place, and then clamp and glue this to the bottom of the handrail. And that'll hold all that. That's the plan. So we'll see how that's going to work. Okay, I've got a little bit of a video that I hadn't wanted to shoot here, but I suspected there might be a bit of a chance of having that happen. So I'm cutting this 5-degree angle from both sides. And that's a dangerous piece to cut. It really is. You have to make sure that everything's right when you do that. And what I'm going to show you, you probably won't approve of. So I moved the fence to the left side of the blade and put a 5-degree angle on my blade, and it's about 1 1/8 inches or so, 1 1/4 of cut. Well, now the way to do this, the really safe way, would have been to make a sled and run it through the thickness planer at a 5-degree angle. That would have been the best. However, I didn't do that. So the whole piece, I started with a piece like this. The first one was uneventful. I pushed it through, but I had a little bit more stock on this end to get my push stick on. But then I thought, oh, I've got enough in this piece to cut another one. Okay, that I shouldn't have done. So I'm cutting it, and I'm getting close, and I lose control with my rear push stick. And man, oh man, that flew back fast. And it ended up I don't know if you can see in the cupboard back there, kind of dusted my paper chair plan there and bounced off the inside of my cabinet there. Now, yeah, I'm not proud of that, and I debated whether I would admit to it on camera or not. But those are things that happen, and it happened to me because I didn't want to take the time to build the jig to do it the right way. Uh, but even though I did do this, I would say this is definitely a fail. When you have pieces shooting out towards the Netherlands there, that's a fail. But there were things that I was doing right that made it so I didn't get hurt. First of all, I was standing to the right of the blade, and I had my push sticks. My hands were always in the red on the push sticks, so that meant they were well away from the blade. And that's about what you need to do. Like, you need to be in a situation, set yourself up in that situation that if you have something bad happen, that you don't get bit by it because you were out of position or weren't using your push sticks or whatever. I will not do that again. I'm in a hurry, but I'm not stupid. I will try to do better the next time I do this. So, well, I thought I'd get you nice and close. Hopefully you can see this. I'm just drilling. I'm not even sure what size bit this is. It's the round section here. The round section of that square is under half an inch, like it's 0.4 something. I'll tell you later. This is the right size though, so I'm just going to drill them. And these are going all the way through. And I think I just blocked you nicely there. Sorry about that. Sometimes with these tools, it's hard to have your hands at the right place so that you guys can see everything. I hope you're somewhat forgiving, because you're going to need to be. If I had a mortising chisel set, I think that's probably what I would have done, but I don't have one, so I'm going to just drill the center out. And then I'm going to take my nice sharp chisel and just make that into a square. So, okay, the top is drilled, and I'm ready to do some handwork. Well, I'm sorry. I did a whole bunch of work, and I just forgot to turn the camera on. I got focused on some problem solving, and things just didn't work. The piece I would like to have shown you is this piece here. This will go up underneath the existing rail, and these about half by half squares are where this end of the new baluster is going to fit into it. So it's going to be a tight fit, and I think I achieved that. All I used to do this was, first of all, I drilled, what was the size of I think I showed that actually, 0.416 or something like that, the drill bit was, so not quite half an inch. So I drilled center out, and then I took my mortising chisel and my mallet, and I drew very careful lines, took my square, put lines on, and cut just on the outside of the hole that I drilled, and my 3/8 Nerix mortising chisel worked really well. That has been a dream. Someday I'm going to show you my chisel storage and what I have. That's one thing I'm proud of in this shop. It's set up fairly well. Okay, so this is going to go like that. Now, I discovered another problem. Oh, by the way, this is sanded to 180 grit, and it has, right now it has one coat of wipe on poly on it. I'm probably going to give it 4 or 5. Then these sit in here, and then this captures the top, and this glues onto the bottom of the handrail. Hope you can see that. So, but I have a problem. My new railing that I made, well, it's quite old now, but newer than the one I'm replacing. I didn't pay attention to the height it should be. I just did what worked with these things, and that railing's an inch higher than this one. So if I use this thick sole plate, like I'm going to, these things are just too long. So I think what I'm going to do is, it's about appearance now. I'm not going to get the measurement to work out, so I want it to look similar or look the same, but it won't be. So what I'm going to do is, I'm going to shorten these by an inch. But if I take an inch off of here, that runs this part right up underneath the handrail. And the other one, the handrail, here, if I can, look at that, quick. The other one is like this. That's how much space there is between the handrail and the bottom of this. So I can't do quite that much, but I'm going to try to get about 2 inches. So about there. So in other words, this thing's about an inch too long. So what I thought of doing, what I'm going to do now is cut an inch off the bottom, cut these little tack welds here, cut an inch off, weld this washer back on an inch higher, and then just paint it black. This is just a matte black finish. It's no big deal. So that's kind of what the plan is for now. I'm not sure how much of that all I'm going to show you, because I'd like to sit down and edit this video no later than tomorrow. So that'll probably be one of those, as far as I get is as far as I get. So maybe this is part 1, the preparation of everything, and then I'll show you part 2 where I install it. Okay, well, we'll see you in the next segment. Well, this has been a little more complicated than I'd hoped for. I made a comment in the earlier part of this video that the handrail height between my newer railing and the original railing, the handrail height was an inch lower on the railing that I'm playing with now. So these need to be made shorter. Now I can't make them the measurements that I'd like to, which would be exactly the same as my newer railing. But I made a comment earlier in this video that it was important that things looked the same. Realizing that if I had to get a tape measure out and do it that way, I would not be able to get them to be the same measurement. So I'll bring you in a little closer here. What I did is I started at the bottom and I measured up an inch. Here I've got the one I'm going to do next. There's my 1 inch mark. Hope you can see it. So I cut the bottom washer off of here and then cut this off and welded this back on and then cut this off to length. So this is what it looks like finished, other than having paint on it. So I drilled a hole in the bottom, plug welded it from the bottom like it was, and then just put weld on 2 sides here and cut it off so that when this thing sits on the sole plate, my top is going to go on. We're going to tip it into position, and then I'm going to glue that up to the bottom of the handrail, and that's what's going to hold the top in position. So hopefully you can see that. But yeah, so that's what I'm going to do. So now I've got one done, and I know this works. I took it in and tried it. It works. I need to do some painting yet, but I'll wait till I have all 5 of them shortened, and then we'll go on with getting them installed. And that'll actually be in the next video, because I think I've got enough ready, and we'll show the preparation of everything in one video and the installation in the next. Okay, so let's keep going. All right, well, the first thing I need to do is take my cutoff wheel, and I need to cut, here, I'll just set this down. I need to cut these welds first, because if I cut this off here right away, then this is going to get too small to work with. So here we go. I think that's it. I'm getting tangled up in a cord here. Sure would like one of the cordless angle grinders, but I don't use one enough. And I'm just going to getting there. I'm going to give it a little bit more. Okay, let's try that again. There we go. See, there's a little plug weld in there. We'll drill that out. And now we're going to cut on the line here. There we go. Now we may as well start preparing this for welding right away. Okay, so that looks all right. And I'm just going to quickly take all the paint off of this guy. Okay, now we'll head over to the drill press and drill a hole. Well, I'm getting ready to weld this back on. I drilled for the plug weld and I've got a red dot there on center. Then all I have to do is make sure that these two holes here are perpendicular to this plane here. That shouldn't be too hard to do. The other thing that I did is I ground a little bit of paint off on the bottom of the baluster so that it would ground properly. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to move you out a little bit and I'm going to run some bead. Okay, well, the welder's all set up and ready to go. I'm welding inside again. I don't really like to do that, but I try to be very careful. Okay, so I'm going to take this, grab my gun, and of course, oh, there it is. I thought I'd be looking for my MIG plier here for a while, but it was right there. Okay, so okay, I think I'm going to use the plier for this. Okay, here we go. Oh, that isn't going to work either. Okay. Go this way. No, I think I'm going to grab it with my pinkies. I need the accuracy. There we go. Now I hope I've got enough ground here. There we go. That's that. That looks pretty good. Okay, so now we're going to go on. I've just been welding on this side and the other side, so I'd like to bend that back, but I don't think I have enough weld strength there yet to do that. So here we go. We're going to put one more in here. And that's just the paint burning. That looks good. And I think I'm going to have to grind another little area here. Oh, and I think I'm going to, oh, that's getting really crooked. But I think I can straighten that after. I'm just going to give it a little more so I can get good ground here. Okay, where did I put it? There we go. Okay. I think I'm going to have to open the door here pretty quick, otherwise I'll have the smoke detector going. Okay, that's that. Well, I got the bottom welded on. I did a little bit of cleanup there yet. And I measured 33 inches to that mark there, and I don't reuse this top bracket, so I don't need to cut it off separately. So we are just going to cut this off. There we go, that's that. It's going to take the flap disc. Okay, that's that. Oh, there we go. I'll show you what I'm doing. Okay, I've got this all done now. Got that done. So now I only have to do 3 more. So I'll bring you back when I'm painting them. Well, the pieces are made. The sole plate's in the house already. It's laying in position. I just haven't screwed it in yet. The top piece is already inside. It's got finish on it. And I just have to sand some of the curled up places where the lag bolts were in, holding the top of the spindle in. There are a few bumpy places. I need to just sand those down a bit. That won't take long. And then I got to paint these yet and put them in. So hopefully in the next couple days or so I get these things put in, but that'll be in another video that I'll do that. So today in part 1, we basically got all the pieces ready to go. Now it was a bit more work shortening these, but I took them in and put them in place and they look good. They're not exactly the same as the other one, but it'll take somebody really looking to notice the difference. So I like what's gone on here. So anyway, with that in mind, I'm just going to set this down. With that in mind, that brings the weekly edition to an end. I didn't check today, but we're probably 8 or so subscribers away from 500. So if that's the case, I'm really hoping that maybe early next week that we could do a 500 subscriber video. That would be cool. And then we'll give away Frosties. So that would be wonderful. So anyway, remember to like, share, and subscribe. Please watch. I have to tell you, this YouTube thing is a lot harder than I thought it was going to be. And now with as busy as I am and the boss still not doing really, really good, it's getting a bit much. So we'll see. I might have to step away for a little bit eventually and see what happens. But up until then, I'll try to keep doing 2 videos a week like I've been doing for about the last year. So with that in mind, remember, like I said, like, share, and subscribe. Watch my videos, share them with others, and we will see you on the weekend edition. Take care, everyone.